Everybody, and welcome to the NCAA Division I Women's Basketball Tournament Seattle Regionals here at Climate Pledge Arena and practice day press conferences for Seattle Region 3. Joining us now from Virginia Tech, head coach Kenny Brooks. Coach, if you want to begin with the opening statement, and then we will open the floor to questions.
Obviously, we're thrilled to be here. I think we deserve to be here. The kids have done a tremendous job all year long. Been extremely resilient and just really inventing themselves and reinventing themselves when they had to. But been one of the most enjoyable seasons that I've ever had, just because of the kids' ability to adapt. They work hard, they play hard, very professional in what they do. So good road to get here, tough road to get here. We've been playing extremely well as of late, and it's been a lot of fun watching them grow. And then hopefully we'll be able to continue it. We know we have an extremely tough opponent in Tennessee, which we are somewhat familiar with after playing them early December. It's kind of crazy because we played them more than we played some of the ACC teams in our league in the last year or so. But it's been great for us, great preparation, but we're looking forward to tomorrow.
Raise your hand if you have a question, and Kelly and Bess will bring the mics around. Start over there.
Hey, Coach. Matthew Walter with The Next. I just want to ask you, being a Virginia guy, right? You're born in Virginia. You played at JMU. You've coached JMU, VMI, now Virginia Tech. What would it mean to you to get this program to its first Elite Eight ever, and just how much it would mean to the state and just your background?
I mean, a lot. I mean, I am a Virginia guy. It's kind of crazy. I almost have 30 years in Virginia retirement system just because everywhere I've worked, it's been within a 2-hour radius. And I've never been afraid to venture away, but it just seems like everything that was happening to me and for me was right in this area in the Commonwealth. So very proud. I grew up watching teams, players from the Valley. Ralph Sampson's a good friend of mine. Dale Curry is a good friend of mine. Both of them are Valley guys who represented 2 of the state programs in Virginia. Always had pride for schools in Virginia, and been very fortunate to have opportunities in the state, but also take that very personal, and I want to bring a lot of good things to the programs I represent, and been fortunate enough to be able to do that. So just the way that it's happened, but it's really a cool story, and really something I'm very prideful of.
Doug?
Hey, Coach. Doug Feinberg, DAP. Okay. Along those lines, you've talked many times before, but the stage gets bigger now. I believe you're the second black male coach to reach the Sweet 16 since the field expanded to 64. How big is that for you and for just the future of potentially black male coaches in the NCAA tournament?
Huge. And it's obviously it's a topic that I don't shy away from. I do know that when I was trying to make a name for myself, there wasn't very many people that were doing it or advocating for people to look like me. And in this profession, I think that we belong. I think that there's a place for black males to come in and be a positive influence. And being the only black male Power 5 head coach, I think that responsibility falls on my shoulders some, and I accept it. A couple years ago, I wouldn't have. I think with all the social injustices that happened a couple years ago, my responsibilities were, to my players to teach them about racism, black kids, white kids. During that time, I really opened myself up. I had to become vulnerable to them to share my experiences and the things that happened to me. And along the way, I figured and I found out that I do have a responsibility for my profession. So many people look up to me and they'll ask me and they'll say, "Hey, you're doing a great job. Hope you keep continuing to do it because it can open up doors for people like me." And I embrace that. I embrace that, the way we run our program, giving advice, talking about this on this platform that I have. I don't shy away from it because I do think that black males are good for this profession. If Elizabeth Kitley comes up here and Georgia Amore comes up here and you ask them, am I good for them, they'll say yes. And I equate it to, all families, they have mothers who are tremendous representation, leaders, mentors, but so are the fathers. And that's what I am. I'm more like a father figure to these kids. And they can come to me, they talk to me about anything. And I'm a girl dad. And I've often said I don't know if being a father of 3 daughters has made me a pretty good women's basketball coach, or being a women's basketball coach has made me a pretty good father of 3 daughters. But either way, it goes hand in hand. And essentially, you just want good people, good people. So, everything that I am doing, yes, I'm doing it for myself, for my program, for our university, but I'm also doing it for people who look like me, because there are a lot of great male black coaches who deserve an opportunity. And if people can look at me and see what I've done, and that inspires them to give another black male an opportunity, then my job is well done.
Mark?
Mark Berman, the Roanoke Times. Kenny, even though the Sweet 16 stage is new to your players, does it help the fact that the opponent is a familiar one? And as far as the opponent, you won 59-56 in December. What do you kind of want to bottle defensively from that game? And then I think you won, even though Liz and Georgia had 5 baskets combined. Where does the offensive improvement have to come from?
I think my director of operations went out and he measured the court. It was still 94 feet. Rim was still 10 feet high. It's still a basketball game. I know the stage is set. I know that there's a lot more hoopla surrounding the game. But the one thing about this group, they're extremely professional. They know how to handle their business, the way that they prepare for any opportunities, and playing on bigger stages. Like you said, we played at Tennessee in a hostile environment, came away with a really good win. A lot of the ACC opponents that we played in front of their crowds, tremendous crowds, prepared us for moments like this. As far as the familiarity with the opponent, like I mentioned before, this will be the 3rd time we played them in the last 14 months. So there is some familiarity. It's not too much familiarity you want to continue to get used to because they're a very talented group. They were top 5 this year preseason for a reason. They have top 5 talent. I don't know who on that team is not a McDonald's All-American. But the fact that we have played against them and we do understand the speed, we do understand the strength, I think that bodes well for us because we don't have to go out there and wonder how fast they are or wonder how strong they are. And as for the actual game that we played them, we were very, very fortunate to come away with a win. As you mentioned before, Liz and Georgia did not play well. But it kind of shows you that we're not a 1 or a 2-person team. Keanu Traylor played exceptionally well that game. Kayla King hit some big shots. Deasia Gregg was good for us. And we didn't play a perfect game, but we won. So we know that they know that we're a good team. So we're not going to sneak up on them and surprise them because we haven't been here before. They know that we're a good basketball team. We know that they're a good basketball team. And everything else is just going to rely on what happens tomorrow.
If you're in the Zoom room and you want to ask a question, please use the raise hand feature, and we'll get to you soon.
David Cunningham, Tech Sideline. Kenny, for two-parter for you. What stands out to you right now about how good Tennessee is defensively? What's making them really good on that end of the floor? And specifically Rickea Jackson, what makes her such a tough guard for everybody in the country?
Well, if you go back to my press conference after we played them, I know they were going through some struggles, and I said it. They're a tremendous basketball team, and Kelly does a tremendous job with her group, and they are going to figure it out. And fortunate for us, we played them at a time where they hadn't figured it out, but also we were trying to figure ourselves out. We were coming off of a key injury and trying to reinvent ourselves. But that's what happens when you start to build a team. In this day and age with the transfer portal, that toothpaste is out of the tube and you can't put it back in. And we're all going to have to learn how to evolve with the transfer portal. And with that, you don't just plug and play kids just because they transfer and they average 18 points a game as such and such. You're not just not going to bring them in and they're going to be right 18 points a game in the beginning. And so we both had to figure ourselves out. They are extremely talented on both ends. Your question, the defensive end, they're long. They're athletic. If you do beat them, they can make up for it with the athleticism that they have and their length. We played them in December, and we were just watching the film, and there were times when they had, maybe their point guard was 5'7", but everybody else was like 6'4". And it causes problems not only when they're guarding you, but when the shot goes up. I think we played them last time, and they out-rebounded us by 15, but we still won the basketball game. We're going to have to do a tremendous job on that end because they are so long. Not only are they long, but they're physical and they're strong. And so we're going to have to make sure we lock in and focus on that end. And then Rickea Jackson, she's a top WNBA prospect whenever she decides to come out for a reason. She's extremely talented. She's a guard and a power forward's body. So she's a tough matchup. She's skilled. She can score in a variety of ways, and she's tough. And she's actually experienced. So she's played in the SEC. If I'm not mistaken, this is her 4th year. And so she's experienced. And that's one of the things that COVID has given everyone is that you're playing against teams that, fourth and fifth year kids. We're almost like mini WNBA teams with the experience that we have. And so every team's really, really smart, and she's no exception.
Lindsay?
Lindsay Chanel, USA Today. Kenny, obviously you guys are going to be favored in this because you're the top seed. But Tennessee is one of the programs that really built women's basketball. How big of a win would this be at this stage? And do your kids get that? Like, did they grow up watching Tennessee? Like, probably a lot of people in this room did.
We're favored by who? Because if you listen to the analysts, nobody's favoring us. I mean, heck, they even give us Andrea Carter, who's a Tennessee grad. She's doing the game, and Rebecca Lobo is lurking around. She's a UConn grad, so no one's picking us. All right, no one's picking us, and it's fine, and that's fine because our kids read stuff, and I'm very proud of our kids because they are basketball junkies. All right, they do watch. There's not a time that there is a big Monday or games are going on that I don't text our kids and I'm saying, "Did you watch that? Are you watching this game?" And they're like, "Yes." They'll text me, "Did you see that move?" And I'm like, "Yes." So I am very proud that they are basketball junkies, but they just became basketball junkies. So they know the history. They do. They know the history of Tennessee, and they understand what it would mean. But I don't think that they walk out there, and especially with us being able to play Tennessee for the last couple of years, they don't walk out there in awe. And that's one of the things that have made them special. And that's one of the things that has taken us to, being one of the upper echelon teams in the ACC, is that we don't walk out there and say, "Ooh, this is, whoever. They have 7 McDonald's All-Americans. We shouldn't win this game." We've gotten past that. We've gotten past that to the point where we feel like we expect to win. So if we go out and we play well, we win. Now on the flip side, they have been reading a lot, and they're very prideful for our university, and they do know the magnitude of what a win would do for our program. And if you listen to Liz or Georgia or Kayla King, who've been with me since the inception of us trying to turn this program around, I want it so bad for them, but they want it so bad for me. We won an ACC championship, and they're like, "I'm so happy for you." And I'm like, "What do you mean happy for me?" But generally speaking, we're just happy for each other. So they're very aware of what a win of this magnitude would do for our program.
Coming to that side.
Alexa Philippi with ESPN. Kenny, when you think back about this group, and I know you've talked about how special they've been, how you thought they could be very special, has there been anything, either what they've been able to do basketball-wise on the court or just how they've stuck together, been great chemistry-wise off the court, that's really surprised you? Anything just from this run, or is this just what you thought they could always do?
No, I knew their capabilities. I watch, like Elizabeth, when she watched NC State win, they won, 3 ACC championships in a row. I could see the fire building in her because she's extremely close with Elisa Cunane, and she wanted to get to this point really, really bad. Really, really bad. And so her work ethic, really showed, because she wanted to get to this point and win. And a program like ours, when you continue and you're trying to, knock down the giants and you're trying to get to the top, you're going to have adversity along the way. And the way that these kids handle adversity, and it strengthens them, it doesn't take them down where they're going to go backwards before they can go forward again. That amazes me. The ability for them to stay the course. And regardless of what anybody says, regardless of what happens outside our program, regardless of what happens inside our program, they've kept their focus and understood what the prize was. And I think that's what you're going to have, because no program is perfect. No program is perfect, and how you can handle adversity, I think, is the biggest thing. That's what I've been most proud of. This group and the way they've handled themselves throughout, this whole year. And I still pinch myself. We're 29-4. 29-4, coming through one of the toughest leagues in the country, and we've had our share of adversity, and they've done a tremendous job in just staying together.
We're down to our last minute, so this will need to be our last question.
Mara with the Seattle Sports Commission. You just came out of practice. What was the energy and what were the feelings of the players being in Climate Pledge Arena? You mentioned many women's WNBA.
Mm-hmm.
This is where the Seattle Storm play. How are the players feeling coming onto the court for practice? And then more of a on the serious, less feely side of things, what was a takeaway that you had from this morning's practice?
Well, they're in the Storm's locker room right now, so being held up, waiting for you guys to come talk to them, they're okay. They're okay. It's pretty nice in there. But you know what? If we had played the game yesterday, or if we had played the game today, I think we would have won. because of the way that they're locked in, they're shooting, they're understanding it. But the game is tomorrow. We understand that. But they're taking it all in. And I've had a little thing all year long about stopping and smelling roses. And they went out to Seattle yesterday and went to the market, and they've kind of been doing some stuff. And but they're ready. They're ready. They're understanding it. They're very appreciative of being at this moment. But I don't think the moment is too big for them. They're looking to embrace this moment, embrace being where they are, taking it all in. And I think this is something that, regardless of what happens, will fuel us to continue to get back to situations like this. So very proud and very happy with where their mindset is right now.
Coach, thank you very much for your time and for your words, and best of luck tomorrow.
Thank you, guys.
We'll have the Virginia Tech student athletes in momentarily.